Today, we're in Taiwan, a country that is no stranger to outsiders. Having first been inhabited by the migrants from China, a Dutch colony was formed in the 1600s, naming the island Formosa, or Beautiful Island, before being forced out by a Chinese military leader for 200 years, then becoming under control of the Japanese in the 1800s, but then returning to China after World War II. But if you spend some time in Taiwan, it's pretty apparent that they see themselves as Taiwanese people. And spending some time here, you can certainly understand how they feel they have a country to be proud of. To get our trip started off right, we're first going to take a few stops. We'll start off by heading to Sun Moon Lake, a natural scenic destination icon of Taiwan, with plenty of sights to see. Then we'll make our way to Zhangwen Reservoir for the elusive river monster, the Giant Snakehead. Our first stop has us at Sun Moon Lake, Taiwan's largest natural and alpine lake. This was quite a tourist destination for the Taiwanese people and tourists alike, featuring walking and biking trails around the entirety of the lake, fun local shopping options, as well as many interesting sights to see. In 1919, the water level of the lake was raised during the building of the hydroelectric power plant, and during this change in depth, the two temples along the local villages had to be deconstructed to make way for the rising water level. Instead of rebuilding near the previous, the two towns opted to combine their resources to build the Grand Wenwu Temple. Now, originally, the only way to reach this temple was via boat and up the 366-step staircase to the top, featuring every day of the year. And yes, that means it includes the leap year. These days, though, you may be happy to know that you can easily walk to, drive to, or bike to the temple gates without climbing the 366-step ascent. Though if you want to experience a fraction, you can always make your way down to your birth date, snap a pic, and make your way back up to the top, like I did. And for your sake, I really hope you were also born in December. My wife Allison and I made our way to the temple in the early morning, watching the sunrise make its way over the mountains of subtropical forests on the 2-mile trek up to the temple. And by the time we reached the gate, we nearly had the entire temple to ourselves. It is rather amazing as you make your way through the halls and buildings of this temple, because it's hard to imagine temples more grand than this. Separated into 3 halls for the god of literature, god of war, and Confucius, you can make your way through these elaborate walls, ceilings, and halls of this temple with details, carvings, and sculptures everywhere you look. Of all the different destinations at Sun Moon Lake, when on a tight schedule, Wenwu Temple seemed like a definite stop on our tour, and with the temple being open at all hours of the day, you can be sure to make it work for your trip as well. From Wenwu Temple, we made our way back to Shuish to take a boat to Shuangwang Wharf, and began our trek up the mountain via the Qinglong Mountain Trail. That's a lot of Chinese words, and they're not spelled the way you think, so please just appreciate that I was even close on those. According to alltrails.com, this trail is listed as a moderately challenging trail, and Allison and I would agree with that. About halfway up the trail, you'll have the option of viewing Shuangzang Temple, which can make for a nice stop to catch your breath, see some impressive statues and architecture, as well as get a nice, shaky view of the entire lake. Returning to the trail, we were shocked to find out that we were only about halfway up to the Ci'en Pagoda, as seen by Allison's human emoticon here, as we wiped the sweat off our foreheads and continued up the rest of the climb to the site. But as the drone footage can support, the payoff at the top was well worth it. The Ci'en Pagoda was built, or at least commissioned, by the late President Chiang Kai-shek in memory of his mother. So on top of being a leader who discussed the Japanese surrender with Winston Churchill and FDR in World War II, at 46 meters and 9 stories tall, he also has set the bar pretty damn high in terms of memorials for your mother. But once we had taken in enough of the grandeur, it was finally time to make our way back down. Spending only a day and a half in Sun Moon Lake probably wasn't ideal, but I felt we saw a few of the main attractions and made the most of our time. But there was one sight during our stay that made the angler inside of me hungry for more. 2 juvenile giant snakeheads could be seen in the shallow water during our trip around the lake, which made me excited for the next leg of our journey. Taking a bus from Sun Moon Lake to Taichung, we hopped on the HSR, or the high-speed rail, to head off to Ci'en, before taking a taxi through a winding mountainous jungle road up to Zhangwen Reservoir. This mountain road was not for the faint of heart, as I was even feeling a bit of the motion sickness myself with the consistent speeding up and stopping, turning and speeding up yet again. Despite making a few stops to take a breather, our taxi driver was kind and agreed to both slow down as well as pick us up in the few days' time. Reaching our destination, we settled down for an early night as the jet lag and dreams of Giant Snakehead ran through my head. We woke up for an early start, not only because the jet lag had me up at 3 a.m., but because we needed to meet our friend and guide, Dwayne, to head off to meet the boatman to make an attempt at a new local river monster. Now, it should be known that I reached out to Dwayne after seeing him take Mike Iaconelli out on his same lake for the Giant Snakehead during his National Geographic show, Fish My City.
A giant snakehead, I gotta get my hands on that monster.
It was a surprise to me that Dwayne was so willing to take us out as well and let us use his gear to do it. But as Dwayne put it, he just loves to fish, and he loves to be able to share this amazing experience with other people. And that is because Dwayne has the heart of an angler, and that heart is gold. As we prepared our gear, the boatman arrived and took us out onto the still morning current of the reservoir. There was something about this moment, being in this handmade boat, watching the water splash past us as we slowly made our way into a narrow tributary of the lake, where jungle surrounded us on either side. With monkeys barking and shaking limbs towards us as a display of intimidation, it was here that Dwayne laid down his wisdom for targeting the giant snakehead in these waters.
It's not too fast, not too slow. You just want a consistent pop. And then even the buzzbait, the frog, any of them, it's the same kind of retrieve.
We continued casting along the banks of this flooded channel, targeting crevices in the vegetation and points of interest where snakeheads may be lying in wait for an ambush.
I don't want to jinx one. Ooh, there was one right there. Did you see that? Should have done a figure 8 or something. I wasn't thinking. Well, he followed it all the way up to it.
As we rounded one bend after another, Dwayne would call out schools of snakehead fry, given away by their very bright red color.
So again, quickly, what you want to do is you want to frustrate the parents, because if you keep chasing the babies down, then the parents will attach out of...
Due to their small size, these fry would resurface for air often, which gave away their position quite frequently. The idea around these seems like a good one. As the fry surface, you simply cast over top of them or below them, and one of the two parents would attack your lure in defense of their fry.
Okay, there.
However, time and time again, we casted over fry, and over the 2 days we fished, and never once did we entice a parent to attack. So it's not as easy as it looks. But even with that being the case, it was fun to constantly be on the lookout for fry, to see that bright red flash of hundreds of small snakeheads surfacing, with the hope that it could potentially lead to a big fish. After making multiple attempts towards many a school of fry, I took notice of a big opening in the grasses, winded up, and made the cast.
Whoa!
Oh!
Sit. Run. He's gonna try and go under, so be
Sure.
careful of that, yeah.
Oh, there he goes.
Good.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Dude, that's a good one.
Oh, good fish. Okay, don't reel anymore.
Get him to Wayne. Nice! Let's go! Yes!
Yes,
That's
a good
so
fish.
awesome. Holy crap, man.
Well done. Well
Dude.
done, man. Brilliant.
Beautiful, dude. What a fish. 9, 11,
11, 3, 11, 2.
11, 2.
Wow.
That's a really good first fish, huh?
I'm happy. I told Allison, I was like, if we can just catch one, I will be ecstatic. Traveled halfway across the world to get one fish. And that is it. And what an awesome fish it is. Beautiful colors. Couldn't be any happier. Let's get this guy back in without falling into the water. That's insane. Let's go.
This first fish, like many a first fish on many a traveled trip before it, is what feeds me with that desire to keep venturing towards the unknown. When all of that communication, planning, and travel finally pays off. You hear all the time that famous quote from Henry David Thoreau claiming that many an angler spends much of their life not knowing that it wasn't the fish they were after. And maybe there's some truth to that. Was I after a fish, or after checking off a bucket list, or a fishing video? Are catch and release anglers today after a fish or a photo? But to all that, I think maybe if Thoreau spent more time catching fish, he wouldn't have had so much time to ponder up all these quotes. After my first catch, it was time for Allison to get a few casts in. We continued along the tributary, reaching a point where a small dam created a waterfall from the flow of high water. To give you an idea of how uncommon this is, I wanted to show you a satellite image of this same exact location, but during the majority of the year when the water is low. This entire area we have been fishing in is reduced to a mere fraction of what it usually is, and where we took off from the boat ramp this morning would have taken an additional quarter-mile drive to reach the water's edge. However, in this flow of current, a bend in the tributary created a natural filter for the oncoming water and the contents it carried. Without a view of the water underneath, Dwayne and Allison continued casting over the contents of this natural filter, waiting for another strike.
Legs off.
Oh no, he did. He took your feet. That was so sudden. That was great. It's under there. Oh no, he's in that stick now. Got him. Let's go.
Wow.
Is that better? Whoa, that's a fatty.
Dude, the color on that one.
Yeah,
Wow.
man. Good fish, beautiful.
Very happy with that. That's awesome. Good fish, Dwayne.
Yeah, man, thank you.
There's two things about this specific experience with Dwayne that I love. For one, Dwayne is calm and collected. This is a reflection of his experience and confidence from fishing all over the world. But the second and most important is that spark. The genuine excitement he still shares for these fish, even after all of the fish he's caught through the years. It's great to see, and it gives me hope for the day when my bucket list is finally crossed off, easing my curiosity of whether I'll still enjoy fishing once I'm no longer chasing down a collection. I think it's safe to say after seeing Dwayne catch this fish, the answer is a definite yes. Later in the afternoon, we traveled out once again, hitting out more tributaries of the lake before making our way back to another area. It was at this time that we approached a much larger boat in the center of the lake. Allison and I looked at each other in confusion as to what was going on, but the owner of the boat reached towards us with a few beers as a younger angler hopped into the boat with us. What immediately shocked me at this point was that the man handed me American Budweisers, which I had not seen in Taiwan up to this point. This made me wonder exactly who this man was, and as Dwayne would later explain to us in better detail than I can muster now, the owner of this boat was a rather important member of the community and the surrounding area, and was influential with Dwayne's preparation for the National Geographic show, making Dwayne a bit of a celebrity in the area. After posing for a few pics, we continued on our way with the man's grandson joining us for an evening of fishing. Casting now in a flooded campground, we made our way into shallow grasses where many juvenile snakehead waited for an evening bite. However, these juveniles proved to be a tough catch, given the size of the hooks we were using for their larger brethren.
Oh, shoot.
As night approached, we could hear the distant playing of music on the lakeshore as the township celebrated their annual festival. As we returned to the township, we took in and enjoyed the local food, watched as women swooned over a singer, and observed a town full of cheerful people winning prizes and socializing without any knowledge as to what they were saying. The following morning, we woke up similarly to the day prior, except there were feelings of change on the horizon. For one, our boatman decided the area we fished the night prior would be the place to start, versus a tributary like we had done the previous morning. And secondly, I had made the call to switch to a whopper plopper, seeing as how I had packed it all the way to Taiwan for the snakehead, and I had already caught one, I didn't really see how I had anything left to lose. Trading frog hooks for 2 open trebles, this meant the potential for snags, which definitely happened, but also meant that I had a powerful spinning tail of the whopper plopper to annoy any snakeheads in the area. As we continued casting in this flooded campground, it didn't take long to find out if I had made the right call.
Haha! Certainly not the monster we saw yesterday, but still a really cool fish. So that purple kind of color, that's when they kind of get into full grown, you see that purple on their heads and whatnot.
Yeah, as they get older, they'll go more purple in color. These are quite young still.
14 inches long or something like that. Still a fun little fight when they come up and grab it off top like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, they're so aggressive, right? They go for anything that's on the top, and that's what makes it so exciting to catch.
Yeah.
These juvenile snakehead, although only a fraction of the size to the fully grown, are just as fun to see their potential. These small fish attack your lures so violently, and when you hold them in your hand, they still try and bite you, as if to teach you a lesson for coming across their path. As my few pairs of ripped pants would show, I still have scars from the alligator gar thrashing their teethy mouths towards me in a display of the same attitude, and it made me wonder once again what the power of a full-grown snakehead could do to someone not paying close attention. As we rounded another bend, I made a cast that answered my call of curiosity.
Yes, he's on. Ooh, it's a good fish.
It's so cool to see them up on top like that. The line's wrapped around his gill. So it's moving. It's freaking me out.
Good deal. Woo. Oh, well done.
Hey, absolutely, man. Goodness gracious.
There we go. Another awesome fish. We got nice and deep purple this one is compared to the others. Eh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wow. Cool.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, Dwayne, these 2 days
have been awesome, and I really appreciate you taking us out and taking care of us and doing everything for us. I realize this is just the morning. We're not going to do the whole, we've been fishing all this time, super dramatic, we're down to the last hour sort of thing. But my God, this is an amazing fish. Puts up an awesome fight, and it's got, I mean, even the small ones are fun too. It's big splashes and hitting the poppers and whatnot. Makes a bass look like nothing, a goldfish or something like that in the States. So this is a heck of a fish, and the colors are so pretty. But I really appreciate you taking care of us and taking us out here.
No, you're most welcome, and you've done awesome. You've done everything right. You put the lure in the right places, and this is your just reward. Well done and well fished.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, cool. I guess we'll let this guy go, but hopefully you enjoyed us fishing for the snakehead, and we'll see what the rest of the vacation has in store for us.
Wonderful.
So good. So good.
The rest of the day was filled with more locations, more casts, and a wonderful tour around the lake by Dwayne, as well as lunch at a visitor center and a special shaved ice cream with fruit on a shovel head, which I still dream about in my sleep, and really hit the spot after a morning of fishing. We did end up catching one more giant snakehead before the trip came to an end, another awesome chase, a blow up on topwater, and a great fight with an awesome fish.
Well done.
That's insane.
I'm no other blocker. Oh my God, let's go, dude.
Let's go. Look at that thing. Absolutely crazy.
My only regret from the trip was not being able to try and eat one of these snakeheads, as I've been told they are very good, and our boatman and our restaurant in town had them on the day we left.
It's a good one.
10斤怎么讲？
我感觉这些。
All in all, the snakehead fishing was an absolute treat. And to anyone thinking of traveling to Taiwan and looking to fish, I would definitely consider looking up Dwayne Christie on his Instagram and messaging him for a potential outing. He was a class act, supplied the gear, and arranged our entire adventure, truly giving a National Geographic level fishing experience. But next week, we're traveling to Alishan National Forest to take in a definite change in scenery, traveling back to Taipei for a trip to the largest fish market in Taiwan, as well as paying our way to an urban pond full of monster fish. So make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because this is an ending to a trip you won't want to miss. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more content in the future. Feel free to check out a few of our other videos on the Modern Day Outdoorsman, or check out BZ Hub, our outdoor gaming channel, with new videos every week.